Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
and you're on the air with Power Squared. Tonight, our guest is Ben Lee, who is here to talk about a game that he's putting out on Kickstarter. But we want to talk a little bit if we know Ben from, he worked on a comic book called Delegates, and I think they put out 30 issues. So we know him from there. But so if someone doesn't know who you are, Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Bin Lee. My day job is working in software in Pasadena, California. Um, but I've been dabbling in some creative projects. Like David had mentioned in a previous creative life, um, I had done a comic book series with my co-creator, Tina. So yeah, that was great. Really grateful to have all 30 issues out. I think the last one was published, came out a couple years ago, I think. Um, and yeah, so it's available on Amazon Kindle, and also you can buy like a print on demand service. In addition, if you are local to Pasadena, one of my local bookshops called Octavia's Bookshelf, they've agreed to stock the trade there. So really excited to have it out in multiple places.
Oh, cool. So let's just touch a little bit on delegates. This is your, that was your only venture into comic books.
Yeah, like Tina had, I think, done like a one-shot issue. And For me, I had some other ideas after delegates for other types of ideas. But at the same time, the board gaming bug bit me pretty hard.
Right.
Um, so, uh, I went in that direction. So, yeah, primarily, uh, yeah, the unfortunately for me, comic books has kind of been a little bit secondary with, you know, but like I said, I'm trying to get it out to local bookshops and comic book stores.
Cool.
Um, so yeah,
So you mentioned you got the board game bug. So how long have you been into board games?
um, I guess probably ever since I was a child. I mean, I think like a lot of American kids, you grow up, playing Uno, Monopoly, Sorry. I consider those board games, and later on as you age and whatnot, and then in college, I got exposed to a game called Catan, and of course, Magic the Gathering uh, was super everywhere in the '90s when I was in high school. So uh, those kind of kept that going, and then I wasn't really aware of, like, for lack of a better word, the hobby aspect of it. These are where the games are, not as popular as Monopoly, but um, there's just such more diverse games out there. There's games out there that can play in like 5 minutes, and there's games that take like 6 hours, and
Right.
all sorts of, crazy rules that I've never heard of before. I think it's similar to like any other type of creative endeavor, like, you know, uh, with, circling back to the comic book world, I think uh, most people, casual comic book people, would know who, Marvel, DC, they know the Batmans, they know, the Supergirls, but then there may be some that know, like, you know, Spawn, or, some of the indie comics that broke out. And then there's thousands upon thousands of, folks who just make really interesting comics, kind of like what you folks have done, along with what, Tina and I were trying to do with delegates.
Right. Thanks for saying
Um,
that at least. We'll take a
yeah,
compliment where we can get it.
yeah.
So,
So, I think that's kind of where when I got exposed to all of those types of games, that's when I really got really interested. I would say about 10 years ago, and I was like, I want to try to make a game. So that's how I kind of went down that road.
So how long has this been in development?
So the specific game that I'm kickstarting right now, called Pack of Penguins. Oh, there's the um, uh, that probably a couple of years. I have a larger game that I had been developing for probably at least 5 years. I would consider that my first game. Lots and lots of rookie mistakes and first timer mistakes were made. Um, and they both kind of got 99% there around the same time. It's just that with Pack of Penguins, there's just so many less components that it seemed like a lesser gamble to try to do Kickstarter for the first time. So that's where that came in. And it technically it's not my first Kickstarter because I remember because I can't remember. Are you still with? Do you still
Artist
also print
Merrick?
through Artist Merrick?
We do Power Squared, yeah.
Yeah. So they tried to, for a while, I don't know if they're still doing it, but try to launch certain books through Kickstarter. And I know I've seen certain books succeed that way. So I had a little bit of familiarity with that, but this is my first time just trying to do it on my own as my own thing. So
Right.
yeah.
So why penguins?
So yeah, great question. Um, I'm sometimes attracted to theme, and sometimes I'm attracted to what's called mechanics. Um, and so in this case, I I was familiar with games like Spades and Hearts. They're often classified as something called trick takers. Um, and I noticed for a large majority of those games, it's basically whoever has the highest valued card for that round is going to win that hand. And so I kind of wanted to just flip that on, you know, put a twist to it. And so originally it was always going to be just a middle valued card, but then I switched it around to having it, be more various each round. And when it was just the middle card, I think I had like March of the Penguins, that old documentary from like a couple decades back, stuck
Yeah.
in my head. And you huddle in the middle where it's warmest, so it makes the best spot to win that round. So I just stuck around with the Penguins. Penguins are cute. I figure it could, because I wanted to attract families and for casual gamers. I thought having cute cartoony penguins would be a good entry point and a good way to let people know, like, hey, this is an inviting game. This is not a game that's going to take a long time or like cause your brain to melt.
Having seen the game in person, I think the art succeeded in that department.
Yeah, great, thank you. Yeah, the credit goes to my artist Kendall. Actually, folks who are familiar with Delegates know that she did the pencils for basically for 80% of the series. So she's a big reason why Delegates was great. And then I had found out that she had been doing art for RPGs and stuff like that. So I asked her, hey, would you be interested in doing art for board games? And she was down for it.
Oh,
So
that's cool. It's good you had a relationship that you could build on.
yeah, I definitely had a great working relationship with Kendall and my other artist, Rachel. And I'm glad I could bring them both on to my next projects. Rachel actually is doing the art for the other game, the bigger game.
Okay.
So been very fortunate because, it's just nice to be able to work with people you enjoy working with.
Right. You had a question about?
Yeah, you went out of your way to make it so that each player is not only a different color but also a different species of penguin. I think I like that kind of attention to detail. I'm wondering how much research did you do into penguins to land on those 4 species?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question, Trevor. Back to March of the Penguins, I think they were the emperor penguin. I think those are probably the most well known, at least here in the States. And I didn't want them just all to be the same one. So, um, I had a lot of help from my artist, Kendall. I basically asked her, like, hey, look around, through Wikipedia or whatever you want, come up with different penguins of different shapes and sizes and whatnot. So, so of course we do have the usual, my blurring is not working very well. Obviously we have, like the emperor penguin here. Uh, but then like she came up with like interesting ones. Like this is called like the little penguin, which sometimes is called the fairy penguin or the blue penguin. And so hence the blue colors on, this penguin here. And then I think a lot of people know or have heard of the macaroni penguin, which actually is technically called the rock hopper. But it's called that because of the big, bushy, bright yellow eyebrows.
Oh.
So, it's been a lot of fun because, it not just highlights other penguin species out there, but actually also it can be helpful for people with color blindness or anything like that, by having them in different shapes and sizes and also doing different poses. It's talking to some colorblind folks. They said that has been helpful. That way they know, oh yeah, that's definitely my penguin to use.
We saw you demonstrating this at the Pasadena Comic Con or Comic Festival, whatever they called it. And I know you've been at gaming stores where they do
Play testing.
yeah, play testing. How much of that have you been doing?
Quite extensively. I think what's different compared to, I think, comic books is you can do a lot. You almost have to do a lot of iterations for the games. It's hard to, I think, with a comic book, maybe like if you gave the script to a bunch of different people, they might be able to help give you feedback about like this part didn't work, that part didn't work. But in terms of playtesting, I had a lot of help from a lot of my friends. Some of them are heavy gamers, some of them are just casual gamers, and especially I think for those, that was very important that I try to get as many people with different backgrounds, given that, I am trying to go with a little bit more of a casual mass appeal for this type of game. But I've been lucky here in LA. We have a pretty robust group of designers and people who enjoy playtesting. And so, as both Paul and Trevor have been to at the Geeky Teas in Burbank, California, we've had almost monthly meetups where there's designers. It's a structured event where designers sign up to get their games tested. And there's people willing out there who who enjoy playing prototypes. I do it because, I want to help, further the hobby and help other designers because they've been very helpful for me. But I can't imagine just being a person who's so much enjoys playing other people's prototypes. But there's, bless those folks because they also make our lives a lot easier as designers.
Well, you would definitely be on the ground floor of something if, the next Monopoly. I played that when it was a prototype. You never know.
Yeah, I think that may be kind of the appeal there. But like for every big hit in the gaming world like a Wingspan, I mean there are probably like 10,000 not so great games out there.
Well, you take the good with the bad, I guess.
So out of curiosity, how did you learn game design?
Um, that's a great question. Definitely, there were a few websites where some designers put blogs up there. I know there's a couple of them that now regularly do video blogs, YouTube videos. I didn't get around to catching those. And I think having had some experience with, as you may remember, not just doing delegates, but before delegates, I was lucky enough to write and direct a movie. Just general idea of like, okay, things have to have like a good narrative structure. They're got to have a beginning, middle, end. It's got to have like the target, it's got to have a target audience and some intention in there.
Yeah.
So I was able to lend some of that. I'm not saying that, Pack of Penguins is some epic movie. But I think that having some of that has helped. And besides that, I've just been really lucky to have bumped into the right designers. What I've discovered in the game designing world is a lot of people are very giving. They're very generous with their time and their advice. Nobody makes money off of making board games. And so I think that's a big reason why, like, a lot of them just do it for the love of it. So they just want to have more other good designers out there, continually making other interesting games out there. And to do that is to help each other up. And so I've had I've had tons of positive experiences interacting with people who like have multiple games like published. It's like I'll see like there'll be people there's like, wait, you won this like board gaming award and you did this, and they're just like regular people. They like they go to work, they have day jobs, or sometimes or they're lucky enough that the board gaming is their day job, but they're like normal folks. They got kids to pick up and and rent to pay or whatever. So yeah, they're just super chill people.
When we attended WonderCon, one of the things we went to was a board game.
Yeah.
Where these people in the industry were talking about, and they were looking at people's. You could bring up your prototype, your game, and they kind of talked.
Basically, you could practice your pitch.
Right, and they were talking about how, and I'm not trying to. I'm not going to probably word this right. How cheap the game had to be in order for them to pick it up. I mean, they were trying to like if it was like a $10 game, it would have to cost $100 for them to put it out. And I'm like, wow, I didn't understand the inflation part of that, but it was they were looking for things for like a couple of dollars to make, and then right.
Yeah, and it could be like $20.
Yeah. So, have you talked to anybody about picking up your game after the Kickstarter, or have you talked to any publishers?
Not at the moment. I think for now, I've just been really focused on getting the Kickstarter to be as successful as possible. I feel very grateful that, as of right now, it's over 400% funded. Yeah. I think it's getting kind of close to 500% overfunded. And that's always a great sign. And so, sorry, my cat wants to jump on my lap.
That's okay.
Do you want to steal the show? Okay, hello. So, yeah, in terms, that's one of the good things about the board gaming world is even if my game is successfully kickstarted, it's not an exclusivity deal. It's not like in the movies where like if something is out, like no one's going to watch it again. Like my understanding is that I can pitch it to other publishers who are going to have a much bigger reach than I will. Just given that they have a bigger marketing arm and whatnot, and they can reach so many more countries than I can. Right. I've really only really had the budget and the bandwidth to market primarily to folks in the United States. I do have backers worldwide, which is really, really humbling. But yeah, like Europe is a gigantic market, and I know plenty of folks who like they kickstarted their game, and then they were able to approach other publishers with good access to those markets, and they would partner up. So um, that's something that hopefully will be a good outcome that can come out of this.
So yeah, I backed your Kickstarter,
I
and
appreciate that.
no problem. And I got two of there were extra packs or whatever.
Okay, the expansion pack.
Yeah, I got two of them. Is that enough?
Oh, you I guess maybe uh, you really only need one of the expansion packs to go with the base game.
Okay.
So yeah, feel free if you're only backing one copy of the game, then you only need one of the expansion.
Okay.
I know it got confusing because your power squared, so you had to get
Well, I was also trying to think of that they would probably play the game, and so they made each one of their own pack. So I didn't understand the mechanics of the game well enough. But that's fine. I'll take two. I'll just open one up, and it'll be in mitten box.
Yeah, this is not like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon. It's not one situation. So apologies for the confusion.
Oh no, don't worry about it.
You're absolutely, and that's the great thing about Kickstarter is because the campaign hasn't ended yet. If you made a mistake, you can totally just change your pledge, and say like, oh, I only meant to get one. I would say just get one expansion, unless you're planning on getting multiple copies of the base game, then having additional one pack for each base game. That's what the intention is.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not. It's not going to break me to have two of them. So can you tell us a little bit about the actual game itself?
Yeah. So it's a quick, cute card game that plays in about 10 minutes for 2 to 5 players. And basically what you're doing is you're competing as penguins trying to collect the most amount of eggs and fish. So these little tokens here. Ultimately, at the end of the game, you want the most eggs. However, if you have the least amount of fish at the end, if you're in last place, you're going to lose 2 eggs. And quite often that can cost you the victory. So yeah, I mean, if we have time, I can try to do a quick demo of
Sure.
what a round or 2 of the game would look like.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, it can play up to 5 players. So, basically, this is what it would probably look like. Everyone's going to get their own penguin and nest that goes with it. And then everyone's going to start off with 8 cards in their hand. And the cards are going to be numbered between 1 through 50. So they're going to look kind of like this. And during your turn, there's going to be something called the ice flow card over here. And so, like for example, in this round, you see there's like 5 spots here with different amounts of eggs and fish. So what would happen is, one by one, every player is going to choose a card from their hand and play it. So, for example, let's pretend this player went first. They played a 44, so then they would put their penguin on there. The next player played a card, and basically the cards are going to go in numerical order. So then the 4 goes there because it's lower on this end and higher on that end. This player plays a 32. This player plays a 25. And this player played a 7. So they squeeze right in there like that. So now we've got 5 spots, 5 penguins. And so based on the scoring distribution of this card, you're going to have, these the penguins on the edges gaining 2 fish, and then the one who played the 25 and the 32, they get 1 egg each, and then the one who got this spot here got 3 eggs. That's the best spot.
Oh,
So yeah. Um, Now, because this player got the best stuff, there's the star marker here. They have to go first the next round because usually it's disadvantageous to go first. So what would happen is then they would each take their eggs and their penguins back to their nest. This, and then we clear out the cards, and then we would start the next round by flipping over a new ice flow card. And so now, as you can tell, like the distribution has changed. So every round, the idea is like possibly the location of the best card may change. So in this, in this next round, you want to have the second highest valued card to win. But as you can see, also the abundance has also changed. This one is a lot less abundant than the previous one. So you play just 7 rounds, and then after 7 rounds, that's when you do the checks for the fish, and that's where the penalty gets applied, and then after that, who has the most eggs is the winner.
so do they choose I know you're picking off the top one because that's probably easier. Is that how the game works, or do you actually go through and pick the card you want to play and hope that
Right,
play
exactly.
something?
So you would pick what card you want to play. So
Okay.
you kind of want to, based on, it's a little bit of a, there's definitely luck involved with the cards that you're dealt with. But it's also like, then you kind of get to choose, like, okay, I have this really low card. I noticed that the best spot is the lowest value card this round. Do I want to use it now, or do I want to save it for later because maybe there's a more rewarding card later? And also, a little bit of guessing, like, okay, are my opponents going to play something high here? Can I squeeze in the middle here? Stuff like that.
Right. Well, it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys played more board games than I have.
Yeah.
It looks like it's kind of fun and easy to play.
Yeah, it's a little bit cliche to say, like, you could play it with like grandkids and your grandparents type of situation, but that's kind of the audience that I'm intending it for. I'm marketing it for 8 and above, because not only do you need to be able to count, but like the kids being able to understand, like, you need to put the 32 between 30 and 34, for example.
Right.
I discovered that my 6-year-old niece wasn't quite up to that level of understanding yet. So, but it just all depends on how smart your kids are and whatnot. So I know my friends, they have 7-year-olds, and they were able to understand it, but they've been playing, like, they've already been indoctrinated in the board game world. Like 4 or 5.
What does the expansion pack do?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So basically, they're called the Powers expansion. I guess in hindsight, maybe could have done some sort of cross marketing with Power Squared. So there's like going to be a few cards that have special powers, and during the game there will be 3 of them that are available every round. And if you recall, like, everyone plays their penguins, so there's 5 penguins. But before you gain the eggs and fish, then each player gets a chance to choose to pay a fish from their nest to activate a power, and that power might let them move their penguin from one spot to an even better spot, or they get to draw more cards, stuff like that. So after someone has used up a power, no one else can take that power for that round. So it adds a little bit of extra, extra replayability, because now it's not only I got bumped to this really bad spot, but guess what? I can use this power now to put myself to gain more stuff. And so it's kind of meant to add a little bit of fun to that. And then also every round, every power that got used up, they get put to the bottom of the deck. So every round, it's always going to be different types of powers that are showing up to again add to the unpredictability of the game.
I've noticed that on your Instagram, you've had, I guess, board game podcasters or something play your game. I mean, they seem to be very positive about it.
Yeah, I guess they're called content creators. I don't, I guess influencers has a negative connotation these days. But I think, I don't know how much you're familiar with, like, also like comic book world, trying to get comics out to certain, can talk about it, like, you know, was it book talk or something like that in the TikTok world. I don't know if there's a board game talk, but definitely I've reached out to a lot of folks. Again, being in LA, I'm lucky to have bumped into a lot of these content creators, and they help network me. And so I find the ones that are like, they're the ones that are really good at like talking about small board games. Then I know they're the ones I should go to and give them, basically I give them prototype copies, so they can make their content. And it's basically, it's a partnership where basically they get to make stuff for their channels and their platforms, and I get exposure for my game, either to hype up, to get people excited for the Kickstarter, or at the start of the Kickstarter to let them know, like, hey, this is a game that's out on Kickstarter right now. You want to back it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been. I mean, they look like. Hey, I assume everybody's giving you positive feedback.
Yeah, I mean, it's been. That's the good thing is, yeah, some of them are paid, uh, but others, they're doing it, because they just enjoy playing new games and stuff like that. So, but there definitely are some sites out there that are, a little bit more critical. So they will say like, this part worked, this part didn't work as well. But I think for the most part, what you're seeing in the ads and stuff like that, it's definitely to get people excited about the game. So of course, I'm obviously doing everything I can to make the game as great as possible and as fun as possible. But it's also understanding who you need to market it to. So, it would be similar again, like to go back to the comic book world, is like, with Power Squared, it's, you want to probably attract people who are interested in, people with superpowers, and, the high school world. Someone who's really, into, I don't know, like, um, Christian comics or something like that might not be the right demographic, depending on, what you make and whatnot. That's probably a very terrible example, but I think there's a similar philosophy there, right? You need to know who your target audience is, and find ways to spread the word to those people who would be excited about that type of game or that type of story.
So, how long is your Kickstarter going on for?
We passed the halfway mark. So it's, uh, I will be very happy when it is over and I can kind of take a deep breath. It definitely, so yeah, I think it's going to end on May 21st. So that is not this coming Thursday, but I think it's the Thursday after that. So yeah, it's, I've got less than 2 weeks. Yeah, got less than 2 weeks, and hope, I'm looking forward to making a strong finish. What I've heard from folks who have done Kickstarters for board games is the first 3 days are usually very, very crucial, and the last 3 days are super, super crucial as well. And that's tend to be where you get the largest amount of funding. So I have to keep the momentum up, try to, keep letting other people know about it. And then for whatever reason, when there's less than 3 days to back a project, it triggers something in certain.
You've been putting it off, like, oh well, this is my last chance. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Like I said, this is my first time really running something like this. So I'm a little anxious and nervous, and looking forward to seeing how the last 2 weeks are going to go for this campaign.
400% is, it's not bad. You're doing pretty good. So if someone was going to go on Kickstarter, what would they put in to find the game?
Um, so I obviously we can put the link in the show notes, but it's also I don't have the exact URL, but if you go to Kickstarter and if you search for Pack of Penguins, it'll be the first thing that pops up. I've also been highlighted in their spotlight of AANHPI creators because May is, API Appreciation Month. So I'm grateful for the exposure there from Kickstarter. So yeah, there should be multiple ways of folks being able to find it on Kickstarter. Just primarily searching Pack of Penguins. Thankfully, even though there are a lot of penguin games out there, apparently, none of them are called Pack of Penguins. So right now, it's pretty easy to find. Thank goodness.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to follow you, what's the best way of doing that?
I'm on Instagram and TikTok at ImagineBin, and that's my main platforms. I do have a Facebook, and there's a Facebook page for Pack of Penguins, and I have a YouTube channel also under ImagineBin. So those are ways to follow me. But primarily, for the most part, right now, you'll just see me just talking nonstop about Pack of Penguins. But I will sometimes put up photos of my cats.
All right, you guys have any questions for him?
Yeah, I guess a final question. Is there anything that you know about game design now that you wish you had known when you first started?
Don't get too trigger happy with buying fancy prototypes. These they can be not so expensive. Like I definitely did not pay like hundreds of dollars for like metal coins or anything like that, but it's okay to have like things that you just make from your printer or whatever. People who play a lot of prototypes just understand that you don't need all that fancy stuff, not until you get most of your mistakes out of the way. Once you've figured out all the edge cases and figured out like, okay, most people understand how the game plays and they enjoy it, and it's playing the way you intend it to. So you can save your money for later when you're about to make these prototype copies, these preview copies for whether you're going to choose to go through the content creator route or to put up ads on Instagram and Facebook. I am doing both. I did both basically, but there's many ways where that's one way where if you're just starting out, you don't need to get the fancy stuff out there.
All right.
Well, anything else?
Not sure.
Okay.
All right. So if you're watching this on YouTube later and you like this, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll have a link in the description below if you are interested in backing Pack of Penguins.
All right. So thanks for being on the show, and good luck with the Kickstarter. We're looking forward to receiving ours. When do you plan to ship them out?
That's a great question. My goal is to have them in people's hands by October of this year. That may be a little bit optimistic, but definitely by the end of the year, a lot of it is out of my control. Right. I'm using a manufacturer in Poland. In Europe, a lot of people use manufacturers in China. For me, I just figured like the having it shipped over to the States from Europe might be a little bit faster than shipping it from over the Pacific. Um, so that was part of, so basically like, um, there's this whole multiple months process of getting the final files over to the manufacturers, them making it, and then them putting everything together and then having them shipped to, wherever you want them shipped. And then if you are paying for a fulfillment center or fulfillment service like I am, then they will mail out the stuff to all the folks versus like me suddenly having like 500 boxes in my bedroom.
1,000 copies in the garage. Yeah. All right.
Probably would save me some money, but however, mistakes would be made and my partner would not be happy with that.
All right. Well, good luck with that. So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.